go through all the crazy stuff before it comes out to the public.
Matthew Blackwell, another Mario, and we didn't call each other up for this. Just happened that way. So Matthew is a beta tester, and he also works with Ori at the Senpai Project, right?
Correct.
On your spare time. But we're going to dive into how it is, being a beta tester and everything. And if anyone has any questions, we have a little question and answer area. So feel free to ask us any questions. It's the box that's teal that says Q&A. So to start off, please tell me a day in the life of a beta tester. Like, what's your day like? Your 9 to 5, let's say.
Well, that's the first thing. That my 9 to 5 isn't exactly a 9 to 5. It's whenever I wake up to whenever I go to sleep, which is actually pretty convenient for me. A lot of things with beta testing involve just handling deadlines. I'm given a particular project. I'm given 2-3 weeks to take care of it. As I find things, I'll report them. So let's say, okay, so I wake up, I'll get myself ready to start working, and I normally have 3 or 4 games on my profile at any given time, depending on the systems, depending on what's coming out. And I'll take those, and from there, like I'll start playing through the game. Now, as I'm playing through the game, I have the game on one screen, and on a secondary screen, I have it's called an ASCII setup, where where it basically shows the lines of code as the games are being played.
Okay.
So as I'm going through, if I see something doesn't look right, whether it's lagging or there's a glitch somewhere, if I'm going halfway through a wall, if I fall off the world somehow, I'm able to look over at the lines of code and see exactly what needs to be adjusted, or at least attempt to find what needs to be adjusted. That's when the job actually becomes a job. Before that, where I'm just playing through,
it's fun.
It's kind of like you're just sitting at home playing video games, which requires some skill because, as we know, final video game product, the end game is supposed to be a challenge. So you need to be able to actually play the games efficiently in order to be able to do so. So I'd say about 60% of my time is spent literally playing, finding bugs, and trying to fix them. The other 40% is spent writing general reviews for the games, things that get sent to the actual coders, via email for them, like suggestions for improvements and things that I really don't have the access to change. I can only change certain amounts of code based on my program. I can't go in and rewrite the entire thing, even though I have the skill to do so. I'm content locked out of doing so. So the other 40% time is really just writing the reviews and everything for the actual programmers. Actually, it's about 30% of the time. The other 10% is reaching out and getting other projects. Reaching out to my different connections through Nintendo, Sony, Sega, Riot Games, different places that I actually go to receive different things. Like in the past, I've worked on DLC content for Smash. I've worked on different things for the 3DS. Currently working on Pokemon Moon right now.
And can you give us any details on that, or is it hush hush?
It's the best I can give you right now. I've been working on Star Fox Zero through all its iterations.
Okay.
And that's been a challenge, but a day in the life, I'll be honest, a lot of the time is just sitting there and playing. I'd say if I play 4 days a week, I'm maybe fixing 3 bugs out of that week, unless it's something that drives me up the wall. And I'll cover that in another minute. But there's some times where a bug will happen and you end up having to rewrite the entire program.
Ugh, that's how long would that take?
Well, that's happened with a couple games that are actually on their way out. That's happened with Zelda Wii U. That's happened with Star Fox Zero. That's happened with... most of the time when the rewriting entire program happens, it happens after we attempt to go... talking 2-3 weeks of trying to recode a particular section, thinking it's a particular section. and then we find out it's the whole mainframe that's completely washed, and we have to send the whole thing back and wait for a new beta to come out.
And let's say, I was just curious, and we have a question from Alphonsus, and I'll get to you in 1 second, I promise. I was just curious, like, do you work for a company or several companies, or are you a contractor? How does it work? Like,
so I'm basically contracted out. I
okay.
sign individual contracts based on the games. I have a specific contract with Nintendo for
Okay.
just their general output, but everybody else, it's single contract based on what they want me to do, whether they want me to stress test, which is where I'm just playing it and trying to break it, or if I'm actually beta testing and trying to see and, trying to look for the glitches and things of that nature. It all depends on the type of testing they require me to do and what they want out of me in the end. I've gotten paid just to be on a server for 48 hours when they're doing like online beta testing.
So nonstop, 48 hours?
Nonstop 48 hours.
Ugh, what do you do? Like, you drink a Red Bull, or what do you
Yeah, I should probably own stock in the Red Bull company. I probably spend about $70 or $80 a month on Red Bull.
They should sponsor you. Hey, Red Bull, if you see Matthew, like, hook him up with some of your stuff.
Yes, that would be great.
I take wheatgrass. It's called Amazing Grass. It gives me like so much energy. Like, being a mom, having my regular job, company, this podcast. If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be able to do it. Amazing Grass, sponsor me.
I mean, I mix, like, I don't necessarily do just Red Bull, because if you keep doing just one energy drink, it doesn't really have the same effect.
It goes out. Okay.
Yeah, like one of my favorite thing right now is Death Wish coffee. It was sponsored during the Super Bowl.
Oh wow! Okay, I didn't see that.
They're New York local. So like
Death Wish coffee. Okay.
I think I sent it to you at one point.
Oh, okay.
At one point.
Yeah, send it to me again, just in case.
All right.
Let me go to Alphonsus, because I know he's waiting patiently, and then I'll go back to a few questions that I had just popped up. So Alphonsus Delgra wants to know, how's the team dynamic, especially when working with smaller and bigger teams?
Well, as a contractor, I tend to only work in groups of 4 to 6.
Okay.
A lot of the communication is done through. To be honest, we actually use PSN Party Chat. It's probably the easiest way to do it. Because we all have PlayStations. It's just easy for us to just sign in the chat, even if we're playing on something else, because you can leave the PlayStation on and just use it for the chat. Plus, it's not as easy to track PSN chats, so we have that sense of privacy versus someone being able to like hack in and deliver the data and everything. And to be honest, most of the talking during the testing happens at the very beginning and near the end, or when someone finds an issue and we're trying to replicate it. Perfect example, beta testing Pokken Tournament when it was being transferred over to Wii U, and there was an issue where a certain fighter would end up pixel hovering over the ground after they did an aerial move, so they wouldn't actually be touching the ground anymore. And the first thing that we do is we send out to our small little team, hey, can you replicate this? This is what I did. We replicate it. And then once we replicate it, we're all trying to fix it.
Okay. So what do? You guys call each other up, or like, hey, dude?
Like, it starts out through, either Messenger or Kick. Most of us have Kick.
Okay.
And then from there, we will actually sign on to some sort of voice chat. Like I said, we use PSN mostly.
Okay. And what does, I don't know if you want to share, but median range, what do you make like as a beta tester?
Well, like I said, it's contract based, so it really depends on how many jobs I get. An average 3-week job nets me about 1,100.
Oh, that's not bad. Okay.
And I can have more than one job going at a time. I think I normally have 3 projects going on at once. I think the most I've had is 6, and I've had maybe I've had a month stint where I've had nothing.
Okay, so it's not something like, is there anywhere or any way that you can get like a stable beta testing job, or is it usually contract work?
Well, you see, that was the thing. When I first got started in the video gaming industry,
Mm-hmm.
I went into to school for video game programming, and
Okay.
I was picked up by Microsoft, and I was a in-house programmer for Fable and Red Dead Redemption. And like that's probably as stable as you can get because now you're salaried. You're not contracted.
Okay.
You're on there for however long the game takes till either release and clean up or until the project gets scrapped. But you don't even care at that point because you're getting paid regardless every week. The pay was definitely better in-house. In-house, I was making in-house at the end of my in-house stint. I was making six figures.
Wow. Okay.
I didn't have a social life though.
Yeah, so you gotta weigh the good and the bad.
Yeah, I don't regret changing.
I could definitely make more, working in the city, but I'd never see my family. So you gotta weigh what's more important. And I have made much more working in the city. I have a question here from Alfredo. He wants to know, how do you join to be a beta tester on the new game before it comes out?
Well, a lot of it is really just having the connections. Like I wasn't beta testing. Like I said, I worked in-house with the companies first.
Okay.
So that was a big thing. The second thing is the fact that I have the degree in computer and video game programming.
That helps.
It's only about associate's degree. So you definitely need to have the training so you know what you're talking about. You know what you're doing. Companies like to see that you're not home trained, that you actually have some school training, so they don't have to worry about, they can just tell you, oh, we're formatting an SQL afterwards, so make sure your C++ is riveted off, and you know exactly what that means.
Okay.
So they like seeing that. How I got into exactly what I'm doing is literally I was in between going from the computer programming and what I'm doing now. I was actually doing a YouTube channel and just doing cartoons on YouTube.
No.
And I was in New York City and I was just asking around, and I believe it was at the Smash Brothers Invitational for the Wii U, or not Wii U, 3DS, that I ran into Bill Trinan, and I just I spoke with him a little bit, gave him my information. He gave me a call back like a couple days later, and I got set up. And from there, just once you're in one, it's easier to kind of farm yourself out into others.
Okay. Pretty much destiny at that point, I guess.
Yeah, and I just want to make clear, like I'm sure, like the viewers see, they see, oh, join the beta test for this, join the beta test for that. You see the emails and things, and the offers on like PlayStation or whatever.
Yeah.
Those beta tests are stress tests. We're not requiring you to check for crashes or whatever. I mean, if you see a crash happen, you report it. That's great. But the reason it's not paid is because really what you're doing is stress testing our servers. If you end up finding a bug, then it gets sent to us, and our job is to first replicate it and then attempt to fix it before sending it back to dev. So there are like tiers of testing, even other than just alpha and beta testing. There are definitely different tiers, whether it's free or being paid to do so. It's really just based on qualifications, and like if you go and you complete an associate's degree, they will, if it's a good college, they will actually help you set up in the industry and get you into, even if it's just some of the indie games to start. Like that's where their connections are, because most of the game companies, they do actually have connections with the colleges. They're always looking for people. QA will be where you would start, where you're doing like quality assurance stuff, where you're just a step above stress testing, because you still know what you're doing and you're able to still talk with a team. But don't think that you can just sit at home and play games and then get into it. You definitely need to have the knowledge of programming behind you first.
Yeah. So is there any, I know that there's beta testers, if someone just wanted to play video games and and test them, you definitely have to have knowledge. There's no level like below that, right, that they could do if they don't have school or training.
I mean, there's the competitive gaming level, like that's esports has become exceedingly popular. If
like
you
tournaments and
yeah,
such.
yeah, I
Yeah,
used to
I
do
have a
that
friend
as
that does
well.
that.
I mean, I used to do that as well. Especially in college when I was actually going to school to program, I was playing Melee competitively on the West Coast. That's grueling in and of itself. It's a completely different mindset because now you need to focus on you really need to focus on one game, and you need to hope that game's lifespan is long enough for you to make a profit.
Mm-hmm.
I count my blessings every day with the fact that I can sit at home and basically play games for a living. It's not something that is very obtainable, and even now, like I said, I'm reaching out, like I'm part of Senpai Project now because, to be honest, doing that all day isn't exactly the most glamorous. You tend to get isolated a lot.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of times there's Facebook conversations going on about rumors, and I literally have to back away. I can't say anything. I can't even get involved. Me and my friends even have a code word. Like if they start talking about something that I can't talk about, I start talking about pumpkins, and then they change the subject.
Yeah,
Like,
there's a lot of Facebook drama, and I want no part of it. Like people beefing with others. I'm like, whatever. I'll just work with everyone. If you're nice with me, I'll be nice with you.
yeah.
Like,
Well,
save
I'm talking even in my social circles though. Sometimes they just want to talk about games,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't. Like they get so hyped about this or that, and I can't say anything because I'm working on it.
Yeah, that's got to be tough. But they have to understand that
Yeah, and
embargoes and NDAs and all that stuff.
yes, definitely. I mean, and they know what I do, and I do listen to them, and I try to get a good cross section because, like I said, part of what happens at the end of a project session is we can put in suggestions, and I try to put in different suggestions for things I think the fans would want. But I have to be really careful about that because I'm not talking to 1,000 people because I can't, and because I just have to be careful with that. So that's how it can be a little isolatory as well.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, actually, funny thing, some of my contracts for some of my games, the only reason I got them is because I live by myself.
Okay.
If I had roommates or if I had a wife, I probably would have got them.
So it won't leak, basically. Is that why?
Right. That's another thing you have to think about. There's going to be some things you won't be able to get into because of how strict a company might be.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's something. You can't have any social life, I guess, if you want to
Well,
be.
I mean, yeah, it's sort of. It's rough. Like I think we've talked personally on that. Like it's rough to just sit here and not be able to just socialize and go out. And sometimes games stop being fun for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I have my games that I play to escape. I'm recently got into Final Fantasy 14, and I have my own little like RP world there, so that's fun to get into. And like I said, I'm doing the Senpai Project stuff, so I'm actually getting myself out there. Uh, but other than that, it's there are definitely some negatives to sitting around and playing video games all day. It's almost like I'm forced to fit into that stereotype that everybody has. Oh well, the geek is antisocial. He doesn't go out do anything. He lives in a dungeon. It's like
Yeah, I don't game all day, but I work from home, so I try, even when it's not that great outside, I try to go out. Like I'll go out with my daughter, get some sun, go to the grocery store, interact with people, have her out there. Because then when she goes out, sometimes to the park, like now she loves kids, but then sometimes she just wants to play with me or play on her own. So I'm like, I don't want her to become antisocial.
right.
She's always at home. And that's why, every once in a while, I make my own parties and I go to geek parties, but then it's always like a battle, because then I don't want to spend time that I could be with my family always at these things, because I have like my family comes first always. But I do like just not fitting into that mom box mold wife all the time. So it's good to just go out and have fun and just let your hair loose or whatever. Yeah. But I miss my family like crazy when I am out. So but it's good to be out there, and like I like meeting everyone that I speak to online, like physically in person. It's so different. And you see people in cosplay, and then they say hi to you at an event, and you don't really recognize them, or even just by a profile picture, even though you talk to them all the time. It's so different to actually interact with them in real life. It's really important. I know everyone's like sucked into their phones and tablets and what have you, but really get out there.
I recognize more people by the top of their heads than by their face.
So
hey, I know you.
But and then a lot of people on Facebook, they just have like an anime character as themselves. So I'm like, I have no idea what they look like in real life.
Right.
No idea whatsoever. Oh, we have another question here from Alphonsus. I don't know. Hopefully it wasn't there for too long. Have you ever thought of streaming some fun games in your spare time? It's interesting to go out about with socializing with a chat room.
I mean, I am starting a Twitch channel. It's just I'm trying to get my equipment together to do that, because I have to keep that separate from my beta testing equipment for like tax purposes and everything. So yeah, I actually I just started a Twitch channel with my PS4 about a month ago, just kind of streaming Final Fantasy 14 stuff, and within the next month or two, I'm gonna be just streaming all of my casual gameplay. I just, like I said, I need to get the setups for that. So look for that in like May or June. I'm sure at some point I can put some sort of link to my Twitch channel somewhere in the descriptions here.
Yeah, definitely. Or is it an easy name you could shout out now?
Well, I mean, it's easy to say, hard to spell. Okay. So it'd just be easier to look in the description.
Okay. All right. So I'll share that link with you guys after this is over and I share it. So let's see. You told me how you got in. Okay. So what are the worst bugs you've ever dealt with, or the funniest things you have seen like through testing?
Okay, so I think the funniest bug that I've ever seen was actually, it was on a 3DS game. I was testing Fantasy Life for level 5, and they hadn't exactly thought through all of the clothing and job changing that you could do kind of on the fly.
Okay.
I mean, they thought through it, but the coding was a little off, like, because you can't just switch. You had to go into the menus to switch.
Okay.
And, I'm a beta tester. Well, one of my things is I'm trying to break the game. Mm-hmm. So they had a quick menu function that was implemented at one point where you could just press one button and switch everything. So I was hitting that button repeatedly, switching between two classes, and eventually the character showed up with no clothing at all. It completely glitched.
Hentai. Was it a girl?
Yes, at the time it was. Yes, I mean they were still chibi, but still, it was like, okay, guys, like, because that could be a PR nightmare if that gets released.
Yeah.
I mean, it was out in Japan first. So I'm not sure what happened in the coding that switched over. I don't know if it was we looked it up afterwards. No one on the Japanese version really found anything like that. So we were thinking maybe it was just a conversion glitch of some sort or whatever. But
so did you see like nips or anything? Like
no, because you see, like, basically it was just a flesh colored avatar. It was like all the entire coloring was flesh.
Okay, like a Barbie or something.
Yeah, yeah. But still, like, you don't want that to release. You don't want that to release. That was funny. I think the other thing would be when I was beta testing DLC characters for Smash. We would, when we wanted to relax, we would go in with the DLC characters and the DLC stages, and literally just try to glitch things out and create like crazy pictures. Like you even see that on Facebook all the time. People that actually do that for fun. And we were doing that at one point, and just for fun. And we actually found a glitch in Bayonetta's new stage, where where if you ducked too many times, you would literally just fall through, and you wouldn't have any platforming at all. You wouldn't be able to stand on any platform. You'd respawn, you'd fall through. And it literally went from, okay, this is the last hour after we've been testing for 6 hours, to guys, grab the Red Bull.
Oh, no. How long did that take to fix?
That took like 7 hours to fix.
Okay. So how does it work? Like, if there's something big like that you need a team to fix it, like there's certain parts that each one takes. Like, how do you? I don't know. I have no idea about C++.
Well, sort of. I mean, like the way our setups are, like if one person changes the code,
okay,
on their system, we all have the option to either accept that piece of code and have it update onto our personal systems,
okay,
or to segment it to the side and continue working on what we're working on. So if someone does something that works, we can all implement it.
okay.
And everything's in states. Like there's, it takes up a lot of memory. Like just testing one game that, let's take Smash. Smash is 20 gigabytes as a full game.
Okay.
To test all the instances in that when we're doing beta testing takes about 5 terabytes because of all the different states that we're saving, all the different change. Because when we make a change, we're saving another copy of the entire game. So it takes a lot of room to do that. So basically what it is, it's like, I don't know how most people should be familiar with Google Documents, where if you invite other people, you all can edit, you can see who's editing.
Okay, yeah. All right, that makes sense.
It's kind of like that, except we can save multiple instances that everybody does. So like I could be working on this section. Person 2 could be working on this, person 3 could be working on this, person 3 can complete theirs, and we can all take that and implement it into what we're currently working on because it's been tested to work completely.
That makes sense. So you can see live what everyone's up to and updating and all that.
Yeah, well, it's not exactly seeing it live because we can't see each other's screens as far as the coding as much. Mm-hmm. It's only when they upload a altered version.
Okay.
So but that's why we're on headset all the time when we're doing team stuff, because we're teaming communication with exactly what we're doing.
Okay. So I have a question from Ernest Lindsay. He wants to know, what was the most enjoyable game that you have played?
I'm going to assume that means tested, because playing is a completely different mindset.
Why don't you do both?
Okay, so...
I'll say played after you, because that's all I've done.
All right, so I'll start with testing. The game that I enjoyed testing the most was actually just the DLC for Smash Brothers. It was really fun to be able to take all the things I learned as a Melee player, with hitboxes and everything, and actually be able to use that in a programming aspect to alter the way certain characters play. Like, originally, Corrin was supposed to have super armor on any type of dragon transformation.
Okay.
Which, the gamers that are watching will understand what that is. But that was completely broken. That was not good for gameplay balance, and we had to remove that. And having played in the competitive scene helped me to see that easier and make those adjustments. I guess just because I enjoy the game on a personal level as much as I do, it made that game the most fun to test. Now, to play, I have always I've had a soft spot for Final Fantasy for a very, very long time in my life. So I'm playing Final Fantasy 14, and I've only been playing it for 2 months, but almost all of my spare time tends to go on it. That's kind of been changing in the past couple weeks because I just started playing Rocket League.
Okay.
And Rocket League is definitely very addicting. But if I had to say one game of all time where I could just sit and play it over and over and over, and if there were no other games, I'd have to go with Tales of Symphonia for GameCube. just because of, yes, the story can get monotonous at times, but you can keep adjusting the game, and there's kind of like a dev option at the end where with the New Game Plus, being able to change certain things and give yourself challenges there, and just the play style is fun. If I had online capability, I'd say Phantasy Star Online. I played it from Dreamcast on up. I don't know. I have a lot of favorites.
Yeah, that's a hard one. Obviously, for me, Super Mario is like
Right.
one of my favorites of all time. I believe it was like, well, one of the first official games I had on my Super Nintendo. My dad just surprised me one day. He had it in the living room, and he was like, "Here you go, and here's Super Mario World." I was like, "Oh, awesome!" And one that was really fun for me was Aladdin. That was a really big one for me. That was a really tough stage too. My dad had this thing. I don't think he'll get in trouble now, but I'm sure you guys heard of it. It was like a magic genie, or whatever. So we used to
Game Genie. Yeah.
And Palmer Video and copy the games. So I had the copied Aladdin version, and I really wanted the real one. So he was like, if you pass the stage with the carpet and the lava or whatever, I'll get you that game.
That's a nightmare stage.
So I was like, oh, shit. Well, I didn't say shit back then. I was like, I don't know, 7 or 8. I was like, I'm going to do this. So I passed it. And he's like, crap, I promised her. So he got me the game. But and then more recently, I would say Condemned for me. I really love that game. Like, scary games are always fun. And I like Nightmare at Freddy's, but it like freaks the hell out of me at the same time.
When I was growing up, my mother, she got me into games because, like, she was an accountant.
Okay.
And she loved Tetris. I remember being like 5 or 6 years old, and we would play, versus Tetris, and she would actually play me with her feet.
Wow.
And win.
That's skills.
That's skills.
I could pick up things with my feet, but that's about it. I don't think I could play a video game. I could try.
She could do Dr. Mario too, and that's actually even more skillful than Tetris to play with your feet.
She'd probably get in the Guinness Book with that stuff.
Yeah, she probably could. She passed a couple years ago though, so.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
That's a really cute memory, though. I'm sure.
It is. It's kind of.
When you have kids, you'll play Tetris with your feet. Or
I'll try. There's been times I've been bored, and I have Tetris Party on my Wii, and I still have the Wiimote controller sitting down here on the floor, because I will get bored and I will put it down on the floor and I will try to play Tetris Party with my feet, and I am terrible. I
practice.
Like, I play Tetris Ultimate on my 3DS, and I'm in the top 100 on Sprint, and then to get humbled like that and play with my feet is like, no. Some people just aren't made for it, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's a skill maybe that you're born with. Maybe your kid will have it. You'll be like, oh crap, he's playing with his feet.
I can see myself. I can see myself like testing that out when he or she's a kid, and just like putting a bunch of controllers in the bottom of the crib and be like, "Go ahead, kick, see if you do something."
It's like my dad. Like one day when I was a kid, he was like, "Can you do this?" And I was like, "What, this?" Automatically, I did it. So that, and then like the Spock thing that he taught me. He's a huge Trekkie. My dad made me a geek, so.
I think that's the reason I never got into Star Trek. I can't do that. I can't. Nope.
It's so easy.
Can't do it.
Yeah, I'm like a fan of both Star Wars, DC, Marvel. I love all the different companies. Also Tetris, with my Russian background, I always loved that game. Have you ever been to Video Games Live? They did like a really awesome Tetris remix.
Yeah. I try to get into all the different Tetris reiterations. There are even some fan-made ones that are actually really, really good. That just add like little quirks. Some of them that actually got picked up by Tetris Ultimate later on. Like Tetris Ultimate has an option where you can do where the tiles get shuffled.
Okay.
But within every either 7 or 14, you'll receive 1 or 2 of each Tetramino, which actually kind of helps for competitive play. That way you don't get stuck with like 15, S's in a row or whatever. It's still random, but it's turned to semi-random, and that was something that was I remember first seeing as a player mod years ago, and I don't know when EA Games decided to pick it up and throw it in their games, but it was definitely a good addition.
No, I'll definitely look that up. So Ernest just wanted to mention that his favorite game was Dynasty Warrior games, especially DW4. So I'm not sure if you've played that.
No, I've played a lot of Dynasty Warrior games. For a long time, it was my preferred genre because I just love being able to just hack and slash and go through everything. I was really excited when Hyrule Warriors came out. But then, like, you know, I saw what Koei Tecmo was doing, and
Okay.
I saw that basically, it is the same tried and true gameplay. And because as I got more and more into seeing how games worked and how to market them, which is like another thing too, making sure that the control schemes and everything are good, and making sure that it's playable and enjoyable and something new that people are going to want to come out and buy.
Yeah.
Seeing Koei Tecmo not really do that and just like, running off of their fandom kind of turned me off from them, and I kind of stopped playing them for favor of just other games that tend to have less of a button mashing. Like, instead of playing Dynasty Warriors, I'll play Bayonetta now because
Okay.
it feels differently. It feels different. It has the same general gameplay style, but it kind of mixes in a couple different things. Hyrule Warriors I'll still play because of like the additional modes that they threw in. And plus, I kind of have to.
Get paid.
Yeah. Uh, but no, I do enjoy the Dynasty Warrior games as well. I really enjoyed um, any of the iterations where you got to create your own character and use a longsword.
All right, cool. So let's go to the next question. Yeah, so I think we discussed this before, but what is the longest, I guess, you've played in one game? And if you could say which is the game that you tested
Well,
that was the
the
longest?
longest I've spent on one project, I'm currently still working on.
Wow, okay.
And I've been going at it for about 15 months.
Another hush hush secret.
Yeah.
What's so tough? Can you say like what's kind of tough about it, or what's the struggle?
The fact that I'm not just for this one, it's not that I'm just testing a game.
Okay.
I'm testing more than a game. So it may not be the game's issue. It may be the server that they're going to use, or it may be the peripheral of choice that you're going to need to play it.
Okay.
There's multiple things that can be wrong, and some of them are outside of my purview. Like, I don't know anything about hardware. I don't know anything about server blades,
Okay.
other than just a general knowledge of it. So if something there goes wrong, basically the project gets retired until they fix it. And then when I go back to it, suddenly everything I worked, it's like, I don't know if you ever played Marble Madness in the arcades or on the NES as a kid. You get to the final stage, and it's like everything is wrong. That's how it feels sometimes with this project. Like,
oh man, is it something that people are going to be really excited about when it comes out?
I think it's going to get mixed reviews because of the company's standing in the gaming community.
Okay.
But I'm excited for it. Like, after working on it for the first month and a half, I restipulated my contract. I want 3 free ones at the end of production.
3 free of whatever
Yeah,
you're working
yeah.
on.
I have to word it like that. I have to.
Yeah, I know.
And they said 3. We'll give you 5. I'm like, okay, cool.
Oh, okay. And that's nice. You could give
Yeah.
1 to 2 friends. Maybe you could do a little contest.
That's kind of what I'm thinking about doing once I actually get them. I'm going to like that's actually one of the perks. Anything I work on, I tend to be able to get 1 to 3 free copies of at the end of production, and sometimes I get them pretty early. And of course, there's like agreements that I can't sell them or give them to anybody before street date. there's nothing saying I can't, like, you know, take one of them and just show them to somebody on a personal level. You know, I've done that with I did that with my my Lucas amiibo that I had before it came out.
Oh,
Just kind
nice.
of took it to an event, like, here.
Everyone was like surrounded you in a circle, like, ooh.
Yeah. I have to, like, I wish I could show what I had here, but, you know, since this is going online, you know, that would be NDA stuff. So
Definitely, like, let me know when whatever you're working on is done, so we could all know, because I'm sure everyone's really curious what it is.
yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I can say that there's been rumors going on about it already.
Okay.
Within the past month, there's been a lot of talk about it on Facebook,
Okay.
and a lot of people think it's fake.
I think I might know, but I won't say anything.
Fair
Just
enough.
because my husband works for Shack News and I see all these articles for things.
Right.
All right. So let's see. I think we pretty much up with the longest amount that you've spent testing. Trying to think. Are there any other questions from the audience, perhaps, that you want to ask? Anybody in the Q&A section? Or any cool story that you want to share, Matthew, that you haven't yet?
I think, okay, so there was this time, like 5 months in, where I almost lost my entire position.
Okay.
So, and it was after this point that I actually started separating all my hardware. Because, like, so I had my 2DS with me, right? And my 2DS typically has anywhere from $2,500 to $3,000 worth of games on it. I don't really keep track of what games are betas and what games are, like, the full versions that I got and whatever. And so, you know, 3DS has a Street Pass feature.
Okay.
Where if someone Street Passes you, they get to see what you're recently playing. So I'm on the train, and I'm playing a beta of a game.
Oh, damn. Okay.
And normally I don't play until I know my Street Passes are full, so I know I'm not passing to anybody.
Okay.
And I ended up passing to 20 people a game that wasn't supposed to come out for another 5 weeks. And I almost lost my hide. I realized I did it after the fact, and I was just hoping nothing surfaced anywhere, and one person put a screenshot up.
Oh, no. Okay.
And that was... I got reprimanded for quite heavily for that. And now I have 2 separate systems to do that with, so that doesn't happen in the future.
Okay. We all make mistakes. It's okay, you know?
Yeah, but you'd be like, the heat that came down from that was... It was almost... It felt like I was the guy who leaked the Smash roster for Smash 3DS.
Okay.
That's what it felt like, as on the working end.
Oh, and who posted it? Was it like Kotaku or any big site, or just some random guy?
It just came up as someone posting their feed. Oh, look who I found passing through the streets.
Oh, okay.
And I guess it ended up getting shared on Reddit, and just the screenshot of it, because it was a game where people were debating on whether it was actually going to come out or not in the US.
Okay.
You know, and I'm glad
that... been so excited. It's like, oh, look what I got. I have to share it to the
world. Yeah, I mean, thankfully it wasn't... If it was Pokemon related, I probably wouldn't be sitting here talking with you guys right now. Because they are very strict. Game Freak's very strict with their controls. So, like I said, it was just a reprimand, and I was, you know, I was fine. You know, you think there's people assume that because I beta test video games that I absolutely, like, I have every single system out there. I still don't have an Xbox One.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I'm not even interested. And it's because It's because of my experience when I was working with Microsoft, and I just don't like the company in general.
Okay.
And it doesn't even have to do with the community as much as I don't feel comfortable. So I don't mess with Xbox things, and I don't mess with PC games either. If I were to start beta testing PC games, that'd be $3,000 in equipment. That's just for your tower.
Damn. Okay.
I'm sorry. No, thanks.
So mostly PlayStation and Wii.
Yeah,
And
PlayStation and Wii,
Nintendo.
3DS, Vita, and
Yeah.
mobile games as well.
Okay. So we have a question from Ernest
Okay.
Lindsay again. He wants to know, have you worked on some projects that you were pleased in playing or just thought this game is going to suck?
Yes, all the time. A lot of times I can tell when a game is going to do abysmal based on, oh, we only want you testing it for 1 week. Or, here, test it, but it's already out in the indie shop. Or already out, like, whether it's the eShop or it's the PlayStation Store, whatever it is. I'm like, oh, great, we're testing it now? Okay, I don't know what you expect me to do with it. Yeah, I've played quite a few games that, my gosh, when is this week going to be over? 1 out of 10, please. No, I mean, no, I like, and I have a lot of respect for people trying to make these games. I really do. But I also, as a gamer, one time I was beta testing. I was beta testing a game that comes out tomorrow, actually.
Oh, okay.
And it's not my cup of tea.
Let us know when you can. What
Well,
game.
we all know it's coming out tomorrow. I still can't say the name.
Okay.
I'm sure anybody who's familiar with Nintendo will know what game's coming out tomorrow on mobile.
Okay.
I'm just trying to be careful. But it just wasn't. Yeah, it's just not my cup of tea.
This is random, but Batman versus Superman. Have you seen it? Do you like it? Just figured I would ask. No spoilers. Just curious.
I don't like Ben Affleck in general.
Okay.
So I'm actually not going to see it.
What? Geely didn't do anything for you?
No, not at all. I'll be honest. It takes a lot for me to go out and see a movie in the theaters.
Okay.
There's not a good cinema near me. I'm out in Staten Island, so it's not
It's
really.
a lot harder now with a kid to do. I'm like, do I really want to see this and get, the grandma to babysit for this and all this hoopla? Is it worth it?
Well, for me, if I want to go see a movie, I've got to travel into Manhattan. That's 2.5 hours for me.
Yeah.
So, and then it goes back to the social life thing. Like, who do I have to go see movies with? It'd be, my schedule's always free, but my friends aren't.
What is your schedule like? That's a good question. What is it like?
Well, like I said, it's all deadline formatted. So unless the team comes up with something, and I get a phone call or I get a message saying, "Hey, we need you to take care of this now," I can work on things at 1, 2 in the morning, or I can work on things at 1 or 2 in the afternoon. It's really up to me as long as I get my list of criteria done. So for me, I can actually even say to my team, I don't even need to give them a reason. I'd be like, hey, on Sunday, April 10th, you are not going to be able to reach me at all that day. And they're okay with that. That's fine.
Can you go vacation for a week, let's say, somewhere? Or you can't?
I can. But the way I do that is I just make sure I don't accept any jobs during that time period.
Okay. But that, if you're currently working on something, let's say you're still working on something currently for 15 months, can you vacation now?
That's different. That's different.
Yeah.
My deadlines for those are in July.
Okay, so you could, be free and go to DR
Yeah.
right now if you wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, like there's times like I won't touch it for like a week and a half because I have other things that are paying me now.
Okay.
Versus that which at the end of it will give me, a year's salary all at once.
And does it ever get overwhelming? I know when I have like a lot of, I get a lot of projects at my job at Wiser, and sometimes I feel like overwhelmed. I'm not even done with the project, and they're giving me like 5 other projects and deadlines for it. Like, do you get overwhelmed like that with gaming too, or not really?
I mean, it can be. I'm just really OCD with scheduling.
Okay.
So for me, I think that's probably one of the easier sides for me. But for somebody else who doesn't have the organizational skills to be able to just coordinate time for this, that, and the other thing,
Yeah.
it could definitely be overwhelming. I personally find it easy.
Okay, and all you mentioned, I just thought of this now, about dating life or whatever. Like, how do girls react when you tell them your job? Like, does it help? Is it good? Is it bad? Like,
Well, I'm currently dating a childhood sweetheart of mine
aw.
from like she lives in Pennsylvania,
Okay.
and she's always picking on me like, "Oh, you just get to sit at home and do whatever you want. I have to go out and clean up hotel rooms all the time." And she picks on me about it. And in general, most people that I've dated or tried to get into a relationship to, they tend to like the fact that have the open schedule.
Yeah. Okay.
But when it comes down to, oh, let me tell other people what you do, they're at a loss for words.
Mhm.
Because I don't go out to work. I work from home. I don't own my own company. I'm working for somebody.
Yeah.
I'm not creating something as a contractor, so to speak. It's not something anybody can see, really. I'm messing with information. And, so a lot of times I tell them to, tell other people what I do with Senpai Project. It's easier to explain to somebody that, oh, he's an event coordinator for nerds and geeks.
Mhm.
And it's not false, but it's also not completely accurate. It's not where I get the majority of my income.
Yeah, I think being a beta tester is cool. That's just my opinion.
It is, but like for our generation, it is. But when your girlfriend's trying to explain to somebody who's 55, 60 years old,
Oh yeah, like older generation. I got it.
yeah, it's a gap, and it's cost me a relationship or two. The parents
That's
are
tough.
like, he sits around and does nothing,
Yeah, well, she shouldn't listen to her parents. Be her own person. So forget
Right.
that.
Well,
Forget
it is
them.
what it is. Yeah, it is what it
Let's
is.
pick Torah.
The other issue that sometimes comes up is, even though my schedule is free, sometimes my house isn't. Like, if I'm like, part of my NDA is not having people over during certain stages.
Oh wow. Okay.
So that can be an issue.
Well,
Oh,
at
you
least
have
you
your
don't
own
have to
place.
make things all pretty and clean. You'd be like, ah, sorry, I can't have you over. Love
Yeah,
to.
it's not even about the pretty and clean part of it. It's work is keeping me from having you over. Oh, that's bullshit. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Sorry. um, yeah, that can be an issue. Um, but other than that, it's like I said, like my girlfriend now, uh she understands that if we decide to take things a lot further, like she doesn't want to leave Pennsylvania, so I would end up moving back out there,
Okay.
and she understands that a couple things would happen. Number one, my income would drop a bit. Because I can actually get more money considering I have a New York City address. It's kind of weird. It's the amounts I can demand. Um, so I would lose some of my income. And she also understands that there would be times where I can't have her over at my place.
Yeah, what would happen if, like, all of a sudden, you want? I don't want to put you on the spot, but let's say you want to marry her, and
Right.
like,
No, 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 no. And I've thought about that. And that's just one of the things where part of my prep for that would be telling the companies I work with I am now married.
Yeah.
And I would actually lose. I can list off 3 accounts if I could actually list them off that I would lose because of that.
That's not
Straight
cool.
up.
Whatever
Gone.
companies you are.
I can't say who, but you know.
No, I'm just saying, you know who you are, companies.
Yeah.
You should work on that.
Like they would one of them I think would probably offer me to work in-house instead.
Yeah.
But that would kind of eliminate the point because she doesn't want to leave Pennsylvania. So
I guess the only way it would be if like she did the same thing as you did, working on the same game, or
right, and
testing buddies.
and nothing against her. She doesn't have the skills. She does other things. She's been working since the day she turned 18 and graduated high school. She's really hardworking, and I take nothing away from what she does. It's just different skill sets and different ways of making it through life. She's had the mindset of whatever I need to do to provide for myself and for my family and for the people I care about, and I need to do it at an early age. I had the mindset of I am not going to do something for a living that I don't enjoy because life is too stressful as it is to add something else to the mix. I've walked into retail jobs and walked out after an hour because I didn't enjoy it, even though I needed the money. I'm not going to add the stress to myself, especially with my mental health issues. I'm not going to add the stress to myself.
Yeah, the job I have now, my normal job, it's fine. Like I actually like doing collections. I like getting money. I've done sales in the past.
Right.
Similar. I like that. And there's some projects though that drive me crazy with my ADD. That's hard for me to concentrate on, and they're very monotonous. Like I have to set up stores because it's a software company and it's a repricer. I don't know if you're familiar with that stuff.
A little bit.
Yeah, so a lot of the tasks, like some stores that haven't paid, that are not customers, I have to delete. I have to make sure all the stores are deleted from the pages and
from the servers and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, like all the links are gone. Like there's no way basically for this person to log on for free. Like, and I'll go through like 250 accounts, like one after one. I'm like, shoot me. So, but I need stability, especially being married. But then I have, my event company, which I love. And that's the thing, the funny thing. People used to ask my husband and I when we would go out, like let's say weddings or whatever, oh, what do you guys do? And he's like, oh, I'm a senior editor for Shaq News, a video game company. And you're like, wow. And then I would say my job, and people are like, oh, all right. So mine was always like the boring one. I'm like, but I get to like talk to people all over the world, and it's a software company. I do tech support. To me, like part of it is cool, but I really enjoy like event planning, bringing people together, cosplay, otaku life. So that's the fun part of things. So I get to do both. I need stability, but maybe in the future this could be my full time. It's hard to manage both sometimes, but I'm trying.
Yeah, definitely. And I've learned to live frugally, even though I have the amount of money I have coming in.
Mm-hmm.
I actually tended to pour most of the excess back into my, the things I need for my job. Because I know that when I finally do settle down with somebody, that I'm going to have to get used to living with a lot less. I'm ready for that.
Yeah, definitely. I tell everyone, like straight out of school, like start saving then and there. Because like when you're a kid, like you're 18, you just throw away money, or 16, whatever. Like start saving as soon as you have a job. Because in the future, when you want to buy a house, do anything, you need money.
Yeah.
Like now, like I'm going through such hell because I don't have enough down payment and a bunch of other things. Being a contractor, I don't know if you dealt with this, but it's really hard to find a house, even an apartment, because my husband and I are both contractors.
Right. No, I've dealt with that actually. In fact, like part of my whole financial portfolio is I don't even mention my contracting income. In fact, it's under a different EIN number and everything.
Yeah.
I don't even mention that. Instead, like, I do officially collect disability.
Okay. So does my husband. He gets Social Security, so he could only work a certain amount. Yeah.
So when it comes to finding a place to live, that's the income. That's the only income that they consider for me, which gets me into a couple different programs and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want it to feel like I'm just grabbing off the government, but at the same time, it's like, it's the only way that I would be able to get a place, to be honest. Like, a landlord doesn't want to see that, oh, your income's not stable, especially if they don't know you from Adam. Like, it's one thing if they know you've paid your rent every month for like 3 years.
Yeah, I basically, I've sent like our realtor, because people have been asking, like our taxes for 2 years, references, our bank statements, you know, what else? Like, I even sent them an email from my boss saying that he was giving me a raise and how amazing I'm doing, because they don't trust 1099 people, and I'm like, you could be W-2 and be let go in a week. It's the same thing as being 1099. Like, we're both very stable at our positions, but and then when it comes to deductions, like doing taxes, if my tax guy tries to help me out and does magic, then they're like, wait, but you only make this after deductions. I'm like, trust me, I could pay for this. Like, I was paying, you know, $2,000 now for rent, so why can't I pay a little bit more in another place? So we're going through a lot of hell right now.
No, I get it. I completely get it. I understand completely. It's actually one of the few things that if I do decide to move out of the city, that I'm not going to have to worry about as much. Because I know that if I lived in Pennsylvania, I'd be able to cover my rent, no problem. You know, most of them out there. I grew up in Pennsylvania. That's where I was born and raised.
Oh, okay. So that's good. It's not like a whole new place for you.
Right. You know, and like I said, this was one of my, you know, childhood sweethearts anyway. So, it was just one of those things where if I go back out there, I know basically if I have cash in hand, they just shut their mouth. Where here in New York, it's completely different.
Yeah, I'm like, look at my savings. Look at my checking. You can see I have money in there.
Right.
Still, they don't care.
Yeah, like I could go out to Pennsylvania and be like, hey, let's go to the ATM. Like, go to the ATM. Here's my balance. I can afford you for 6 months if I just use this. And that's all they want to hear. Yeah. They're fine.
Maybe I should be looking in Pennsylvania homes.
Yeah.
I literally could live in Japan right now, but you know, my husband doesn't want to move. Like, we could live anywhere right now because we are remote.
Right. I mean, like I said, Pennsylvania, you could okay, so my girlfriend's father rents out a 3-bedroom house, full house, 3-bedroom at like $700 a month.
Well, you know, I said I pay $2,000. We definitely need an office. This is our office. We have side-by-side tables. And there was one 2-bedroom we saw with a den, and the thing was like claustrophobic. I'm like, we need a 3-bedroom. So immediately it jumps like $500, $600, $800 more for that extra bedroom.
I mean, I don't know, like, at least look at the market. Not necessarily around like Philly or Allentown, but maybe closer to like central Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Just kind of take a look and see what's out there. I mean, like, you know, rent prices out there it's like night and day.
Which is the closest Pennsylvania to me? Like, if I'm really close to New York City. Like, I'm in New Jersey, really close to New York City. Like, is like Central closest to us, kind of?
Well, okay, so if I had a car and I was driving out to my girlfriend, it'd be 2.5 hours.
Okay.
And she lives in Hazleton, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
That's like almost in the middle of the state.
Okay.
2.5 hours to New York City.
All right. It's kind of that's the thing too. Like, his favorite doctor's here. But anyway, that's a talk for another time.
Right.
To get personal though, right? Sometimes, guys, I know you guys can relate. There has to be contractors here and people with like issues and disabilities and stuff like that. So you can relate. There's problems. Yeah. Everyone has issues. We overcome them. You know, despite it, we're awesome.
Right, exactly. And then it goes right back to, if your job isn't doing something that you love, then you're just adding all that job stress to your everyday life stress. And I just don't see the point.
Yeah, like sometimes my husband's like, oh, because I try to shut off Facebook and stuff in the weekend because it's like always going off, especially with the Perez Play stuff.
Right.
And sometimes, like, I'll check it, like, if I'm working on a flyer or something for an event. And he's like, you're still working. I'm like, but for me, as they say, as corny as it is, not work, because I love doing that stuff.
Right.
If it was like a normal job and I'm doing it on the weekend, which I have in the past, and actually it seemed like the more I busted my butt, the less appreciative people were. I've been connected like 24/7 on my phone, but yeah, so it doesn't feel like work for me. I get joy out of it, and like my dad's like, "Oh, you're overburdening yourself with this stuff." I'm like, "But I truly love it, and I have fun doing it." It's not like, that's not the thing that's causing me drama. It's like my landlord and a bunch of other stressful things happening.
Right. I mean, like, yeah, for me, it's the same thing though. Like when I'm doing my own stuff, this headset's my best friend because I can't hear my Facebook going off at all. I can't hear any of that. Because it's nice sound canceling, and I can still get into just whatever I'm doing for fun. I can connect this thing, I can connect this to my phone, connect it to the tablet here, what I'm doing now, and just shut out everything else. And you need to do that.
Yeah.
You need to do that as just a way to stay sane.
Yeah, like I literally sometimes just shut it off and like chuck it to the couch. And my husband's like, "Why do you have to shut it off? Just ignore it." I'm like, "I can't ignore it. I just can't. I have to shut it off completely."
You have to look at it every time it beeps. You have to.
Yeah, I'm like, well, what's going on here? Like, what does he want? What's going? So I'm like, if I turn it off, I even have this app that's I don't know. It's like it tells me to get the F off Facebook while I'm working. Like, fuck you, go work.
Yeah.
I posted about it, and it actually helps, to help me stay on track, especially when I'm working.
Right.
So I use that.
I have an app that I use on my tablet that I can shut off everything except specific people's messages through certain like mediums. Like my girlfriend can always get through.
Okay.
My best friend can always get through. And things posted in particular sections that are serious work related can always get through, and my tablet will go off. And
what
everything
app is
else. Let me actually look it up. It's one of those it's one of those like off the market apps though, because like I have my tablet hacked, so I really don't want to. I can't really discuss that here.
Oh no, I don't want to get you in trouble.
Yeah, like it's not on the Google Play Store. It's through one of those third parties, and I highly do not recommend using any of those unless you know what you're doing from a programming standpoint, because you can really mess up a device and turn it into something that's not even good enough as a doorstop.
So I'm gonna wrap things up with like a few headline gaming articles from Shack News. Maybe there's some that you know about. One particular that stood out to me is about Killer Instinct, the PC port having a major bug. You know anything about that?
A little bit, like I mean, I knew that there were going to be issues if they ported it, because for with PC gaming, you're not developing the game on a system with specific specs. You're always going to be developing for optimal specs. Okay. So with PC gaming, it's not like, oh, I go out and buy this. Everyone goes out and buys this, like they do with like PlayStation or Xbox. So things like that can happen, and especially with a fighting game.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure how Killer Instinct was going to handle the port, because they're not as big as, let's say, Capcom or whatever, and being more experienced with doing so.
Okay.
And I was kind of afraid something like this was going to happen. But I really, as far as details as to exactly why the refresh rate went completely askew, I have, I wasn't on the team there, so I have no clue.
Well, you guys can log into Shack News and check it out.
Yeah,
I'm just
definitely.
helping my husband out. He wrote the article on it. Also, Call of Duty 2016 is rumored to take place in space. I don't know if you have any insights on that.
Pumpkin, please. Thank you.
Nintendo Miitomo launches March 31st. Ooh.
Did we just figure out what I was talking about earlier?
I know. I wonder what that could have been about. So new Street Fighter V costumes are leaked. Okay,
Yeah.
so you can check out the costumes by going to Shaq News. That was posted yesterday by Daniel Perez. And Nintendo is updating Wii U and 3DS eShops to support remote downloads. That was a big one.
Yeah, that's something that that's actually something I worked on, just helping making sure that the coding for that worked flawlessly. That's actually, it's less the software and more just making sure the server can handle all the requests. They didn't want to happen what happened with Pokemon Bank when it first came out.
Okay.
So, and Nintendo in general has been a little bit behind the times when it comes to getting servers to do things correctly.
Poor Nintendo. I like
so
so much dust my Wii U. So the next one we have is Fallout 4's survival mode is available on PC and is coming to consoles in April. Not sure if that's something you worked on.
No, that I haven't. No.
Okay. Well, that's pretty much it for gaming news of the week. Unless you have any insight or anything, any hot gaming news.
I mean, just kind of take a look at some of the rumors in the past month, and maybe give a little more weight to them. That's about all I can say.
All right, so we'll definitely have to check out Mitomo.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I see it being very popular from the 11 to 17-year-old crowd.
Okay.
I see it having less of an appeal than Tomodachi Life. To anybody in the older gaming crowd at all. Unless it's it depends on how well your phone, tablet, whatever you use that you travel around with, how much data you want to use up as you're walking around.
Okay.
It's basically it's going to turn your device into Street Pass type, moving around and everything. I'm afraid of data consumption. That's the only thing I'm afraid of. Just keep an eye out on that.
All right. Well, that's a good tip. So definitely watch out on that. If you have an 11 to 17-year-old, they'll love it. Yeah. Maybe not you as much, but I'll still play around with it and see what it's about.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna play around with it too, just because kind of have to.
Yeah.
But definitely check it out.
Well, I know we're a little over now, but I think we talked about a lot of good stuff and got personal. I think it was fun and very educational.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you very much, Matthew. Where could we find you, by the way, if anyone wants to look you up?
You can look me up on you can send me a personal request on Facebook, Matthew Blackwell, and my Facebook page is Tosycamere Gaming Entertainment, which we'll put a link in the description. The spelling can be a little off. Same thing for Twitch.
Please Facebook me the link to that. There's no.
Yeah, I'll send you. It's just my user. A little awkward to spell, but basically that username is for everything. PSN, Wii U, everything. So people can just find me wherever at that point.